Welcome to the Styrian Hillside. This afternoon, we get set to duke it out once again. 3 races remain as we get set to go to the home of the Bulls. Welcome to the Red Bull Ring, and welcome to beautiful Austria. My name is Lambo alongside Austin Edstrom, bringing you all of racing action from start to finish from round 7 of the Beer League. Austin, it's a championship that has continued to provide entertainment week in, week out ever since this season got started with these spec racer Fords. We're once again at a Grade A Formula One venue ready to duke it out in some low-powered club cars.
Yeah, and the good old Red Bull Ring, very well-known racetrack here in Austria. Obviously, F1 goes here a lot, and, these slower cars, F1 has a good bit of passing at this place with the straightaways, and in these slower cars, we've seen, the craziest battle pack so far this season. A little bit, more tame than, I guess, 2 weeks ago at, Le Mans. Mr. Nolan, your personal favorite pick that you got to choose 2 weeks ago. But this week at the Red Bull Ring, it's going to be passing aplenty, I'm telling you.
Oh, absolutely it will be. And we'll get to all of the nuances, of course, that will be held for us this afternoon in short order. For now, take a look at the Drivers' Championship Entry Racing action this afternoon. Alex Crawford still maintains his run on the top, looking set to try to lock this championship out early here. And at this point, Austin, he's got a chance to get the job done before the season finale.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty sizable lead there for Alex Crawford, 33 points. Coming into week number 7, so we're a little ways into this thing. Crawford's starting to build up that point gap. Like you said, he's got a really good chance, but it's really close behind him. I mean, look at second to 6th place, separated by 2 points.
Only 2 points separate second all the way back to 6th. Tied for second, tied for 4th, and then just 1 point behind the both of them is Eric Ronenberg in the number 6 spot. And of course, for the team's championship, it is Happy Holidays starting to reel in the gap up to Babs Bug Boys. Right now, Bug Boys staying up in front just from sheer beer count alone. But Happy Holidays, they've got the spots to really take the fight to them in these last 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's still a close race here for the team championship, honestly. There's a couple guys, or a couple teams that are still in fighting distance, right, coming into the final couple weeks of this thing. Honestly, the top 4 all have a decent shot at it, especially with the beers that Scoville Squad and Zero Team 6 are intaking. Maybe they could just pump those numbers up a little bit more and get a couple bonus points. I think they might have a run at the title.
That's at least the hope for these guys as they continue to fight their way through championship racing action. For I think this is season number 9 we're in now. Keg count? Well, we are past the number 4 mark. And what do you think, Austin? Do we get 5 before the season is out?
Yes. I think that's yes. Yeah, I think it's a safe bet. I think we get to 5. For sure. Come on. You don't underestimate these guys.
Well, we'll see how everything's going to pan on out. Of course, there's still a long way to go in championship action before we will, of course, get down to brass tacks later on throughout the course of the championship. For now, though, it is Alexander Hammonds that has a solid drive up at the head of this field. You can see guys out on the racetrack now for qualifying as we get set to see who's going to be up on top for qualifying in the 20-minute session this afternoon for the first time starting to come in.
Yeah, a couple guys starting to come across the line. Crawford currently at the top of the board. I was watching Michael Hopkins that time going about P6 so far. Everybody funneling back down here into turn number 3, I suppose. I hate that they, number these little curves. Turn number, but hey, turn number 3 here. Second braking zone, I guess. Crawford has a little bit of a gap here over Combs. Going to pull over to the side for him. Let Combs go on by. Maybe a little bit of team play between the two on the first 2 laps, giving each other a slipstream to build a really good banker lap right off the start because Crawford laid down an absolutely heater.
Yeah, right now, Crawford once again showing why he's one of the best. He is half a second up on Jake Kasich and more. Still a long way to go, though, here in this qualifying session. We'll get the chance to take a ride on board, and I think we could go with one of the cars that's right now not too condensed in the middle of these packs. Let's ride on board here with Corey Barrett. He'll take us for a lap around the Red Bull Ring.
Well, and I got to say, Crawford was definitely not on the heater either. He had a little bit of contact on that lap. It's just, it looks like everybody had a little bit of problem. But hopefully Corey can show us how to actually do it here on his second lap. His first lap pretty decent compared to everybody else. I think there's honestly another second or 2 in it for these guys out there that they can go out there and find. But Barrett putting himself up to P4 so far. Pretty good run through turn 1, using absolutely all the racetrack, carrying all the momentum you can get. And then it's just a long, long run down to turn 3.
It is the longest stretch on the racetrack, and it is by far down into the best passing zone as well. Hard on the brakes, uphill braking zone, lots of room to work with on both the outside, not so much on the inside of the racetrack, but a tight angle should be able to give even drivers on the defense a good chance for either a switchback or a chance to defend around the outside. Now, for I believe one of the second longest straights on the racetrack, second only to the start-finish stretch. Corey Barrett is going to pull to the side, let Aaron Thacker through for that 816. Kind of misses the apex, and that swings him wide.
Yeah, Barrett coming through now in the slipstream, so getting some draft off of Thacker. But you're coming into the slower section now to where it doesn't really help you out too much. Well, Thacker's going to get out of his way, so that helps him out pretty nicely. Going to be able to be in the clean air through the slower section of the racetrack. Now, not too difficult even in the dirty area, I got to say, in the Spec Racer Ford. I don't think these guys are not going to have too much of a problem. Corey, a little tight there through that section of the racetrack, using a little bit too much of the racetrack, I'd say. And then coming into the final couple corners. This is where we could see some issues tonight on our green flag pit stops. I'm a little worried with some guys slowing down on the apex or maybe not get back to the gas, I suppose, not using all the track width. Could see some incidents with that, but Corey coming down to the last corner, gonna see what he can run here.
And in fact, I believe Barrett nursed the slowdown penalty. You heard him feathering the throttle coming down to one of the last straightaways that time by. So this will not be a lap that will be representative of what that car can do. It is over 2 seconds slower than the time that has currently put him into that 7th place spot. Other drivers yet to cross the line. Take a look back to Austin Tucker coming across the stripe. Jason Lee right behind him along with Ron Wolf. No time log for Tucker that time by. For Lee, no time logged as well, and it looks like we will be getting a couple of cars going up through the field. Bueller going to the 7th place spot while Eric Ronenberg jumps up into the top 5.
And I'm just kind of shocked at the lap times that we're seeing so far, though, because in the practice session we had a couple guys hit into the 142s, 143s. Crawford, Tucker, Kasich, all a second faster than they've been in the qualifying so far. So I'm kind of surprised that these guys haven't found their footing just yet. At least a couple of them. I'm sure we'll get a little bit better run as we get towards the end of this thing. But I'm surprised somebody like Crawford or Tucker hasn't really laid down that really fast lap time that we saw in practice yet.
Ringo Harrison, another driver yet to put down a time here in qualifying. That was his second attempt coming across the line, and it will not be a time log. Same story, it appears, for Blake Gambrill. So it has not really been an ideal qualifying session so far for quite a few drivers in this field. A bit of a smaller grid, too. I think it's worth noting that we usually get. We usually see drivers kind of into the high 40s. This time, we're only into the low 40s. We're missing about a fifth of the grid here this afternoon, and that could make things interesting with the championship order as well.
And you never know, missing a couple people could absolutely shake up the championship order. You don't want to see any of the guys at the top of the list miss a race, especially at the end of the season, having a chance to get themselves a couple more spots, maybe challenge for the championships. I hate to see a couple guys miss, but the guys that are here going to put on a good show here tonight, and well, kind of a open opportunity for a couple other guys to jump the guys that maybe couldn't make it tonight.
Tyler Carlton is up to the top of the points boards with a 144.81 ahead of Crawford's 144.87. So now Crawford, I think, turning up the wick again, trying to see if he can't try to run him down. Really makes an aggressive juke to get around a slow John Combs, as Combs is trying to stay a little bit further out of the way this afternoon. Greg Beckman in the midst of a huge pack of cars that are all coming across the start-finish line. Beckman not able to improve. Alexander Hammonds did improve on that lap, and he puts himself into 18th.
Not the lap time that Hammonds would like, though. Alexander typically been pretty quick whenever we see him in the beer league, but not having the pace so far in the early going in this qualifying. Still a decent ways left, 10 more minutes for him to make good on his qualifying time, but kind of stuck in this traffic coming down to turn 3. Really couldn't use all the braking zone there. You saw that car wiggling, did not get a good exit. So this lap might just be scrapped for him.
Yeah, not the most ideal of corner exits there on that one, but still, drivers doing a halfway decent job on trying to get themselves relatively sorted with how things are rolling. You see a few of the times down to the bottom left of the screen on drivers that are looking set to set themselves up at the start-finish line. Bear Morton right now green in the second sector, but still down in that first sector, so it's looking like Morton might have a little bit more work to do. This course still a driver that has yet to put down the time.
Just keeping it on the racetrack here in the 6. Like you said, pretty good second sector. Last sector, though, not all that great for Barrett Morton, so not really going to improve on that one.
And in fact, it won't be a time logged at all. His time was invalidated on that last lap. More drivers towards the point. Justin Hall, Jason Lee putting down fast laps of their sessions the last time by. Alexander Hammonds down in 20th, good in the first sector, down in the second, and down in the third. No improvements for he or for Ryan Verhall. Still 1.7 seconds off the mark for quite a few drivers that are struggling to work their way through. Chris Bright tried to put down a lap, same story, no improvement, nor for Stephen McClendon. And my apologies, Bright does improve on his time, but only up to 5th.
Still a decent lap time for most of these. Oh, was that? What in the world did we just see behind coming out of turn number 1? Huge incident between Crawford and another driver coming out of turn number 1. Couldn't quite tell. Somebody just went straight. Maybe had a little bit of a moment, but most of these guys able to get through without any time loss, I believe, coming around turn 3 now. A couple more guys coming out of the last corner. Gambrell not laying down a great lap time to move him up. Andy Yasek not improving either. It looks like Jason Lee not on track to improve. Track might be getting slower out there. I'm shocked. We're, like I said, we're 10 minutes into qualifying. Well, 13 now, just about. And Crawford, he's 2 seconds off what he ran in practice. This track must have heated up a lot over the course of the day and even heating up during qualifying.
Corey Barrett unable to improve, 10th and a half off the mark of his best lap. Not seeing a lot of the way of improvements. Todd Dole just started his first lap of the afternoon. He is so far has not been able to really do much with that 13 car. Not for lack of trying, though. This is his first qualifying effort. We did see him out briefly in practice, but has not gotten too much experience with this car. What does Jake Kasich have at the top of the field? Up in the first sector, down in the second on his personal best lap. Down on the third as well, and no dice. But he was off the mark of his personal best lap by only a couple thousand. So that car is dialed in.
Kasich running consistent, good lap times, at least within 3/10 of your current pole sitter, Tyler Carlton. So Kasich, one to watch here for the last couple laps. And here at Austria, you can get a good couple laps in. So even though we've only got 6.5 minutes left, you can get around here in 1:45. So Kasich has a good 3-4 laps left in him to see if he can get himself up to the pole. You got to think if he's consistent like that, lap over lap, he's just maybe a couple of corners away on one particular lap from laying down a heater like Carlton up at the top.
Tyler Vietnan up in the second sector on his best lap, right now all the way back in 31st, trying to see if he's got something for the top 30 here. Oh, real wide, though. That was a bad line coming around through turn 8 and down to 9. As he continues to make his way in the Orioles machine across the line. No improvement. Still down on his lap time. That is not the run he was hoping to have.
Still, again, just not seeing much improvement throughout the field. Not too many guys able to lay down anything faster than what they did over the first couple laps. I think, the early going, a lot of these guys were playing some draft games. Since the beginning, I feel like a lot of these guys have kind of been single filed out, not too close to each other. There's been a couple of packs, but then they kind of all run up on top of each other. Not a lot of working together out there at this point. Just about everybody spread out, and I think we're seeing it just from the lack of draft down the front straightaway, or not the front straightaway, but the straight after turn 1, and then even after turn 3. I mean, everybody's first sector is yellow, and well, everybody else's second sector is yellow too, I suppose.
Well, Chris Flams just shot out wide, and that's going to give him an off-track 1X. Chris Flams and Blake Gambrell are 2 cars. They really have to start worrying, and Ringo Harrison. Flams just completed his 7th lap, and he still does not have a time on the boards. Blake Gambrell is right now in his 7th attempt. Ringo Harrison is on his 6th. They've been out since the very start of the qualifying session and have been able to do nothing. Crawford coming to the line quick on the first 2 sectors. Is it enough? It sure is. Bumps himself to the top spot by 2/10.
Finally, somebody improving here in the late going. Alex Crawford able to bump himself up. Does anybody have anything for him? 2/10 over Carlton and, well, 4 or 5 over Combs. That might just be unbeatable. I know Kasich's been consistent. Maybe he's got something in him, but it's going to take a mighty draft lap to get anywhere close to what Crawford just put down.
Blake Gambrill finally on the boards, goes 29th. Tom Badol has set his personal best 2 sectors so far in qualifying, but still with no official time on the boards. Seeing if this is going to be a time that will count. Tyler Vietnam just came across the line. He was up in the first sector. No improvement for Vietnam, but close to his time that has put him 34th. Well, Tom Badol coming to the line. 4 minutes left on the clock. And looking like we might finally get Tom Badol on the qualifying sheets. And we do not. He did not get a valid lap in.
Still got, what, 2 tries in him? Just barely? Is that going to be enough for Todd to finally get him something? You just don't want to be all the way at the back, man. You don't want to start plumb last. If you could just get something on the boards, keep that thing on the racetrack, you're going to be mid-pack if you're somebody like Todd Badol, Chris Flams. We've seen those guys run up in the front time and time again. So, you got to put down a decent banker, and they're just not able to even do that. Not able to keep 4 wheels on the racetrack. Not even 2 wheels on the racetrack.
Alexander Hammonds goes to the number 11 spot in his qualifying efforts this afternoon. Ron Wolf shooting up to 3rd. How about that drive from Wolf as he now puts himself less than 2/10 off of Tyler Carlton.
And I thought Chris Bright might have had something there. He had a purple first sector, but it all went awry in the last 2. Didn't improve on his lap time. Didn't bump himself past 6 up here. So Bright's going to have to regroup, go again. Probably only 1 more lap. Yeah, definitely only 1 more lap for all these guys that you're seeing now. That's going to be a qualifying over there for Stefan Purcell in the 57.
Andy Vasic and Tom Badol, 2 drivers that are trying to get laps on the board still. Vasic, though, looking good. He is on his personal best lap so far. Up on the first 2 sectors to his personal best. Currently sitting 21st on the sheets. For that 000, that carbon fiber body trying to work himself down into the final corner. And now the question is, has he pushed track limits too far? It's an easy thing to do, right? Extending the track out a bit too wide to get the old off-track 1X down in the 3rd sector. And I'm afraid one of those green sectors comes as a result of, well, no dice, because he must have gone off track somewhere. The lap was not counted. Todd Badol, though, finally on the boards. He's in 22nd.
Yeah, Todd, that was only his 3rd try, though, so he had actually kind of skipped out on the beginning of qualifying for whatever reason. So he had a little bit less time on the board. Still, what we were watching before, you just got to get a banker lap in. Todd finally able to do that, but, giving himself 1 good push lap, I'd say, here with 1 minute and 40 seconds left.
Oh!
He's coming around turn 3. Oh.
And that will be qualifying over for Ben Williams. That was his final chance to get a lap in, and on his 9th attempt, he will be down and out.
Yeah, Ben Williams going around there out of the 2nd to last corner, pushing just a little bit too hard. Switching over to Bueller here.
That's Hall.
Sorry, that was Justin Hall, excuse me.
He does improve on his time, but not on his position.
Oh. Well, I think we know where the beer league shenanigans are going to be tonight.
We got a perfect camera for it, apparently.
We're going to see some backflips.
I'm all for it. Might need some help to get the backflips, but it's possible. Tom Badol currently up on his best time of the session and his only time of the session so far. Andy Vasic working his way in the final corners. There's Tom Badol just a little ways behind. So coming around through turn 9. Oh, that's a big cut for the inside. As that just compromised his lap. Vasic to the stripe. No improvement for Vasic. Tom Badol, he will improve. Gets himself into the top 20, but that is where he is going to remain.
Hey, that's within striking distance of the top 12, for the transfer spot to get yourself on the pole. So decent lap there for Tom Badol.
Corey Barrett jumping up to the 7th place spot as well. Jay Kasich going up there into 4th. Tanner Klein, I believe, might be the last car to come down in qualifying, but he is going to run out of time. So, Austin, it is time to take a rundown then of what the starting grid is going to look like when it gets down to sprint racing action this afternoon. Let's take a rundown top to bottom through the field in the sprint Alex Cofford on pole alongside Tyler Carlton. Ron Wolf is in third with Kasich in fourth. John Combs starts fifth with Chris Bright in the number 6 spot. Corey Barrett, Eric Ronenberg, Alexander Bueller, and Austin Tucker bring up the top 10. And then from there, you got Justin Hall, Jason Lee, Alexander Hammonds, Darren By, Matthew Dupuy, Steve McClendon, Brooks Clayton, Jeremy Castro. Rounded out the top 20, it's Kyle Smith and Tom Badul. From there, the field goes. Keaton Crothers, Andy Vasick, Ringo Harrison, Sean Bradley, Ethan Condi, Aaron Thacker, Greg Beckman, Michael Derby, Michael Hopkins, Evan Campbell, Blake Gambrell, Ryan Verhulst, Carson Catlin, Jordan Babcock, Tyler Vietnam, Barrett Morton, Tanner Klein, Giovanni Romano, Ben Williams, Chris Flam, Stephen Purcell, Kyle Blevins. And that will round it out for the 42-car field. 38th on back. Did not set qualifying laps. One of the smallest fields we've had all season.
Man, isn't that a great sound to hear, though? 42 cars is one of the smallest fields we've had all season.
Oh,
I mean,
no
ridiculous. Beer league standards are above other leagues. Just gotta say it. There's obviously a good handful out there, but man, beer league most consistent. You know, I've maybe seen 2 races under 40 cars.
Still waiting on a small contingent of drivers to grid on up for we will get this race on the road. 15 minutes, followed by the 5-minute warm-up where we'll highlight some of the storylines throughout the sprint race. And then, of course, we'll get settled for the main event, which will be 1 hour of racing action through the Austrian hillsides in short order. Right now, just waiting on Dupuy, Williams, and Blevins. Real quick here, Austin. What can we expect down to turn 1?
Well, turn 1's going to be a problem. Coming through the center of that corner, there's going to be somebody that washes up, takes out somebody on the outside. I really think it's turn 3 that you got to watch out for. Heavy braking zone. Might see somebody lock up, go in there, and go bowling.
Well, we are ready to get a move on here as the lights start to come on. Lights are out. We're underway. It's the sprint race from the Beer League at the Red Bull Ring.
Hoffer got a huge jump coming down to turn number 1, completely clear. Really the only guy with an easy opportunity through turn 1. They're going to be 3 wide further back. Todd Madole going for a couple spots. Oh, one car almost goes spinning off to the exit. 4 wide for a moment, coming back onto the raceway. Still 4 wide coming back under the Alpha Tauri sign. There's room for it, but man, you really don't want to be that way before you get down to turn 3.
Coming on up towards the first hairpin of the race. 3 wide down into the hairpin. It's a brave lunge. They're going to make it, though. All the way back through this field. Still no problems just yet. Again, a few more 3 wide. Some cars getting bullied out wide.
Wow.
Now a bit of 4 at the back of the field. 1 car getting squeezed towards the grass. But so far, so good from Austria.
Ridiculous opening to this first lap so far for these guys. It's a lot of contact, but nobody's spinning off, careening off the racing surface. Still a good hard race in between. All 42 drivers in the field. A little bit of contact further back. The 27 getting shoved wide. Finally a spinner. Is that Aaron Thacker in the 816? Falling back to the back of the pack. But everybody else still facing forward. Everybody chasing down Alex Cofford.
And Cofford has just jumped out there with the lead already. 2 seconds up on Tyler Carlton. Oh, we got a couple cars going around at the back end. That's Stephen Purcell. Hopkins is around. I think Kyle Blevins, Kyle Blevins didn't make the start. Blake Gambrell's involved. There's Purcell spinning off again. Now into the last 2 turns on the racetrack. Looking like we're going to escape lap 1 without any too serious of an incident. Very unlike what we saw in Le Mans. Cofford out by 2 seconds and a quarter, while Kasich has made a big jump for the number 2 spot on lap 1.
Yeah, just a couple spinners there on lap 1, but the second place position has changed hands a couple times. Here's Carlton taking it back away from Kasich as we go down to the turn number 1, and now Kasich under fire down the long straightaway. He's got John Combs right behind him in the draft, and Combs has a drafted partner. Ron Wolf shoving him down the straight.
Big shoves going on down the racetrack, single file throughout pretty much most of this field. Nobody going out wide at turn 1 this time around, looking for 3 wide again. Down in towards turn number 3. Carlton manages to outlast them all, going to take that momentum from the outside of 3 wide at the tightest turn on the racetrack.
Chris Bright down to the inside here. Corey Barrett trying to make a move, coming down to turn 4. One of the Hill Satin cars just goes through on the inside. Late braking, washes out to the outside of the racetrack. easy does is easy can easy can be there for I couldn't quite tell who that is in that Hell Satin car, but a little bit further back, couple spinners.
Couple of cars off, in particular Ringo Harrison having gone for a little bit of a loop at the tail of the field. No surprises here, though. We'll keep things rolling with just a one-car spin. I think this has got to be some of the cleanest opening laps in beer league history, though, Austin. We still have not seen more than 2 or 3 cars getting spun around from the get-go of this race tonight. Might have lost Austin.
I was muted that entire time.
There we go.
Yeah, it was pretty clean for beer league standards. Typically we have a couple of wrecks that if we had damage on, we would, probably be out of the race. But here at Austria for the heat race, no, just a couple spins. Nothing that would have put anybody out. Oh, did I speak too soon? Somebody went careening off there on turn 1.
That's just a one-car incident, though. It's Kyle Smith. I think he should be fine. I mean, he's situated where he's at. He's waiting patiently. Might take the chance to kind of walk the rest of this race from there. Whoa, that was a look for the inside of 3 wide. That was Brooks Clayton that had a bit of a lunge down for the inside of turn 3.
Clayton going for it. Didn't quite pan out for him. I'm going to have to regroup. McClendon looking to the outside here, coming down to turn 4. Trying to make a move around the outside. You can carry a little bit more momentum, but man, you got to make sure that you don't get cleared before you get out. Darren Bayou a little bit further up. Running that number 22 up to the 12th place position, currently in that transfer spot. Oh man, there's the incident. There's the big one.
Yep.
Giovanni Romano went careening down into that corner, and he T-boned somebody. That was not pleasant.
Looking like potentially Sean Boundy getting a piece of that as well. We'll try to take a look back and show you what happened here. As this is coming down the hill in towards turn 4. One car locked up, one car went in deep, and then it all just kind of collected up the road.
It's just kind of the natural racing line, right? They're coming out of that corner, and unfortunately, there's just cars spinning right in front of them. Nowhere really for Giovanni Romano and a couple of those other guys to go. You're hard on the gas pedal, just trying to carry as much speed as possible. A lot of smoke up here towards the pit entrance. Not quite sure what happened up here towards the last corner, but everybody we got on the screen right now still running nose facing forward, and then another move down to the inside. I believe that was McClendon making a move.
Right now, we've got your number 12 car highlighted on the track map up on the top right of the screen. So Darren Bayou right now kind of in a good position where he's at, all things considered. He is in a battle with Corey Bear, but that is for the 11th place spot, so we don't really have a battle on as it stands for that transfer spot as it sits.
Yeah, nobody really close enough to challenge these guys, but you got to think, right? Coffort's going to drive himself off the racetrack somewhere. So really it's that battle for 13th that we got to be paying attention to right now. So Justin Hall, Jason Lee, well, those guys are only a 10th apart, so that would really be the invert spot.
Oh, look out, one car going around as they kind of got bottled up there. Who's that? I think that's Ron Wolf. That is Ron Wolf. That kind of got tipped around there. So one of the drivers for the Scoville squad being dumped out of the top 12. He will be dropped all the way back to 16th, and now we got potentially more problems. Keaton Crothers, it looks like, has had a moment.
Getting a replay to look to see what happened to Keaton down here to turn 4. Just behind a group of these guys. McClendon a little slow, and honestly, he just kind of slowed up for him. And unfortunately, that back end stepped around whenever I think he just kind of hit the brakes on the apex, and the banking was kind of going away from him as the car was debanking out of it. And unfortunately, just kind of spun that thing around.
And side by side for several spots at the top 12 invert as, holy cow, there's a group of 4 that just went spearing off the racetrack, all trying to get whatever kind of runs they can get. But they got some tandem bump drafting going on down the front stretch here. Tucker's in the mix, By, Ronenberg, Barrett are all in here. Tucker sweeps around the outside and takes that spot up from all 4 of them.
Tucker making some big moves, didn't get a great qualifying effort, but he's moving up towards the front of the field, up to 7th so far. Oh, 3 wide, down the straightaway, down to turn number 3. Barrett down to the inside, trying to take 2 spots right here. He's going to make 1 done. And then coming down to the braking zone, Can he find the move? The 26 running way wide. Hammond's way off the racetrack. Might get a slowdown for that one. And should have to give that spot up to Corey Barrett, I think.
Yeah, right now, tracking where that battle is, Justin Hall has reeled himself into this fray. So right now, Hall battling to try to get himself up and into the top 12 for that invert for the main event in less than 10 minutes time. Jason Lee side by side with Alexander Hammonds as well. Man, Alex Crawford, though, is just gone. Talk about checking out.
Yeah, that's not going to bode. Oh, man, they're spinning through turn 4. Romano a little wide here. But like you said, Crawford, this is the quickest we've seen him all year long. You know, we're kind of at a little bit shorter of a racetrack. Some slower areas that I feel like kind of fits into his driving style a little bit better. Sector 2, the exit of Sector, exit of Sector 2, all of Sector 3. I just think Crawford's just, you know, that's where he's good at. And he's making the most of it so far tonight. It's going to be bad for these guys in the main event, even with him coming from the back.
Well, assuming he does want to come from the back, honestly, if I'm out with Alex Crawford and I have this kind of speed, I'm wanting to start at the front, just run away with this. Meanwhile, Jason Lee, Ronenberg, Hammonds, and Hall all under a blanket as well. Stefan Purcell has made his way into pit road with that number 57 entry. So we got still a good handful of them making their way up towards turn 3, all still packed up under a blanket. About a minute 44 for these lap times here. I would say we've got about 3 laps left, and as Corey Barrett just pushed somebody wide, I think down to the turn 3.
Elbows out, coming down to turn number 3. Oh, well.
Wow.
He got a big burst of speed. That was
just locked up.
You would think it would be a big burst of speed, but I think he just broke way too late.
Giovanni Romano has opted to pull it off the racetrack. He is taking the chance to do some spectating with that number 99 entry. As Alex Crawford has just ducked around him. And now Romano tumbling back down through the field. There you see Corey Barrett and Eric Ronenberg side by side as they come down the hill, working their way through what I believe will be now turn 8, setting ourselves up for 9.
Barrett under fire. These guys fighting for spots just inside the top 10 with Corey Barrett losing that 9th place spot, now losing 10th. A little bit of contact there. Darren Bai making the move. Oh, more contact. Alexander Hammonds going spinning off the racetrack. Barrett able to keep it on, but the 26 is going to tumble out of the top 12 transfer spot.
Alexander Hammonds getting launched up into the air with that one. Lucky not to go over and go tumbling down to the turn 10. 4 minutes on the docket. Oh, and now Ronenberg swings it wide in the 017.
Getting down at the end of this heat race, these guys pushing just a little bit harder. Just a little bit harder, it seems like. I mean, it is relentless what we're seeing coming down to the end of this thing. Everybody just pushing to make that one last pass. And we've been watching that battle for 12th, the ever-elusive 12th place position to get yourself up on pole for the main event. And more importantly, as far away from Alex Crawford as possible at the start of this thing. But it's just turned into all-out mayhem back here for about 8th to 12th.
Corey Barrett right now has the top end of that position as he tries to fight it out with Top of Dole. Now, if trends go the way trends do, that will turn into Top of Dole having the last spot within the top 12, and then Ron Wolf will be the next driver that would have to chase. But with him being 2.6 seconds out, he's effectively not a factor in this battle. So now it's the waiting game to see when Crawford decides to make his exit. I think he's made a statement, though, for the main event.
He has already been black flagged, so it's absolutely confirmed that it is going to happen. It's just, where is he going to decide to go off the racetrack? I mean, it's got to be turn 1, right? I mean, it's the obvious choice. It's going to be the biggest hit. Now, has he found a jump somewhere else out here that we don't know about? Probably not. He's been failing us the last, honestly, season. He's been slacking.
I don't know if there's an Austrian jump. I don't think there is, though. I think this is all just going to kind of come down to whatever we, whatever seem to do up in turn 1, to be frank.
Still fighting further back in the pack. To Jason Lee trying to make a move, trying to get one more spot up to 8th place. currently running in the 9th. Darren Bayou right behind him. And still that transfer spot, that 12th place position, Corey Barrett hanging on to it. Madole going to inherit it, and it just doesn't look like anybody's close enough to make anything happen other than that. But you just got to watch out because you never know if these guys are all going to come together because we're 3 wide off of turn 3.
Chris Bryant kind of getting forced out wide, courtesy of John Combs and Alexander Bueller. And then Tucker still in the mix of this as well, as that's looking like it's going to go kind of all sorts of awry. Oh, my goodness.
He went flying.
Well, if he went flying, we, of course, have to take a look at what happened.
I mean, flying. He said, Beyblade, let it rip.
I will take your word for that. I'll confirm that for you.
That was a good one. All right, he might have heard that I was talking crap, right? I said he had been slacking. That was a pretty good one, Crawford. That was probably his best of the season. That was his best of the season for sure.
Racing action still with a long way to be decided. There's Thacker and Verhulst as they're fighting for spots way down the field outside of the transfer. They get into each other, making a bit more contact. Around will go Evan Campbell in the 71 car.
John Combs still hanging on here, up in the top 3. Going to be a good points race for him in the heat. Unfortunately for him, obviously flipping back. If he holds on to this 3rd place spot, going to be starting about 9th. But he's under fire. Going to lose a couple points here because it looks like he's losing 1, maybe 2 spots. No. I thought for sure Tucker would go through on the bottom 2, but Combs is going to fire around the outside, able to keep it. A little bit of contact there with Bueller. Thought for sure Combs was dead in the water, but instead he was able to hang on to 3rd. Does anybody have that draft coming down this long straightaway? Chris Bright with a good run. Going to pass 2 cars down the straight and give John Combs a shove.
John Combs giving the bumper, but Bueller also being given a push by Austin Tucker. 2 wide, 2 rows deep into turn 3. Combs slams the doors shut on Bueller's face, able to hang on for 3rd.
Tight racing here inside of the top 5. At the end of the heat race, this is what you love to see. Combs still hanging on to it, and even further back, Jason Lee hanging on to 7th. It's a big battle pack here for the final transfer spots. Madole hanging on to it. Does he hang on to the pole by just riding in 12th?
I would.
I think I would too. I think it's more important than the heat points, right?
Well, what's one more point versus starting on pole position in the main event?
Yeah, exactly. I would. It's strategic there for Madole maybe to hang on to that for now. Well, excuse me. Yeah, Todd Madole. He was in 13th there for a second. I think we might have seen Coffer get back on the track, but Jason Lee still hanging on there for 7th, coming down to end this heat race.
Coming around into the last set of corners this afternoon and still looking to put in a good showing here this afternoon. Coming off of turn number 10, Jake Kasich takes the W in the sprint race this afternoon. Tyler Carlton takes a distant 2nd, and behind the fight for 3rd, Combs trying to hang on, and he will just manage to do so.
Combs hanging on, and Todd Madole staying in that 12th place position. Not getting anything, man, drag race to the line there between Jason Lee and Justin Hall. And, well, here's the shenanigan. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, we got one over the fence. How many did we get over the fence here, you reckon?
I think most of them are going to rebound backwards. I don't think it's worrying about going over the fence. It's the backwards rebound.
Well, we might get one here. Oh. Look at the 7-3 flying.
Man.
Just shy of it. Getting catapulted up into the air. Not able to get the job done, though. Not for lack of trying, though. Credit to him.
I love this.
It's been a while since we've had a proper beer league party like this.
Is it evil that I want to see this in the real race? Like 2 or 3 cars just go screaming off there? Oh.
Probably a little bit.
Maybe a little evil. Maybe a little evil.
It's a good show.
Just a blown tire, you know? Left front tire blows, throttle sticks at the same time, so you just can't turn right or brake.
Well, looking like that will be about it. I'm not seeing anybody else that's going to be able to come home and really put on much of a show for us here this afternoon. So we are at this point just waiting on the last, on trying to get the last few names in across the line before we can, I think, properly get a look at who the top 12 are going to be for that invert this afternoon. Tell you what, though, a good sprint, one of the cleanest sprint races, all things considered, that we have ever seen out of the beer league. And we are now going to be able to get the chance to, well, take a rundown and see what's what this afternoon. As in heat number 1, it was none other than Austin Tucker Jake Kasich starting his race from 12th with Carlton in 2nd, Combs in 3rd, then Bueller, Tucker, Bright, Ronenberg, Lee, Hall, Barrett, and Madole to close out the top 12. Overall, though, Austin, that I think was a very successful sprint race and one of the most successful that we've had all night tonight.
And it gives me pretty good hopes for the main event, I gotta say, because that first lap, man, that was one of the cleanest first laps we've seen, and I really thought turn 1 was going to be a little bit more of an issue, just somebody's overstepping the bounds somewhere around 20th, where it was just so tight. But man, everybody was able to keep it on the racetrack, barring a couple minor spins towards the back half of the lap, and even the whole race was very clean by beer league standards. So I think the whole 60-minute main event is going to be pretty good here coming up.
So talking about who we could expect to see up at the front this afternoon, I think the driver to keep an eye on the most is going to be Alex Coffer tonight. I mean, we've seen him get out in the front before in these sprint races. That was a new level, though. He had opened up over 2 seconds before the end of the first lap. If he keeps that pace up in the main event, he could be in the lead before the halfway point.
That's a very, very good point. Crawford, I haven't seen him that quick all season. It's honestly been a couple seasons since I've seen that ridiculous a pace out of him. Obviously one of the quickest guys in the league week in, week out, but that was something else that we saw from him tonight in the heat race. If he brings that in the main event, anywhere close to that, he is going to be impossible to beat unless he gets caught up in some big lap 1 incidents.
Oh, no kidding. I mean, that was absolutely legendary, the type of performance that we saw from him this afternoon. I think Jake Kasich, though, could be a pretty convincing threat. He and Tyler Carlton were able to put together quite the fight up at the head of this field, and they were convincingly 1st and 2nd, right? They were well ahead of the battle for 3rd. They are, I think, could be the next 2 big contenders that might be looking to lock out the podium.
I'd have to agree. You know, obviously the fact Kasich was running up towards the front and inherited the win there at the end. But, you know, you start 12th on this main event after you win the heat race, and it's always been pretty tough for a lot of these guys, in this car in particular, the Spec Racer Ford, to be able to work themselves from 12th all the way back up to the race lead like they were in the heat race. Obviously, I was just saying Coffer can come from the back to the front, but he's just got a little bit more pace. Everybody about 2nd, 3rd, 4th to, I'd say, 10th in the league are just super even, and it's just hard for them to, you know, honestly interchange those positions after that heat race flip.
And of course, Tom and Dole, Darren Bye going to be starting on the front row for that main race as well, starting up in just about 120 seconds here. So there's a lot that's going to be happening, I think, at the main event. It could be one of the cleanest main events that we've ever seen, but it could also have quite the devastating opener to it as well. I mean, we'll have to see. It could really go either way, I think. And this is one of those races. It is absolutely going to come down to the wire. Well, with all of that said and done, let's take ourselves with a quick step back. We'll take a listen in to the Austrian national anthem before we go racing for the main event this afternoon. All right. Warm-up is at a close. Time to see how this is going to line on up. This is your starting grid for the 1-hour feature coming up from the Red Bull Ring. On pole position, it is Tom Madole alongside Darren Bai. Corey Barrett and Justin Hall 3rd and 4th, and Jason Lee and Eric Ronenberg in 5th and 6th. Row 4 with Bright and Tucker. Row 5 with Bueller and Combs. Row 6 holds your sprint race winner and runner-ups with Jake Kasich and Tyler Carlton. From there it is Ron Wolf, Jeffrey Castro, Brooks Clayton, Alexander Hammond, Matthew Dupuis, Steve McClendon. Continued on through the field, it is going to be Keith Crothers, Andy Vasic, Jordan Babcock, Carson Catlin, Sean Bradley, Michael Hopkins, Tyler Vietnan, Aaron Thacker, Ringo Harrison, Blake Gamble, Ethan Condi, Tanner Klein, alongside Chris Flams, Evan Campbell, Ryan Verhulst, Greg Beckman, Kyle Smith, Ben Williams, Bear Morton, Giovanni Romano, Purcell, Crawford, Derby, and Blevins close out the field.
Full 42-car field here tonight for the Beer League. Can't wait to get this one kicked off. Obviously, we saw the heat race. We got the ability to go through this first lap completely clean. We got high standards now. Very, very high standards from that heat race. Hopefully, we can carry it over here to the main event. The Todd Madole, Darren Bai up on the front row.
So Tom Madole, Darren Bai, Corey Barrett, Justin Hall going to be the top 2 rows here this afternoon. And I think we could be in for a good show here this afternoon. Lap 1, turn 1, always the most treacherous place, especially at this place. We made it through clean for the sprint, though. Is it the same for the main event?
I'm hoping. But you know what? I've learned, at this point, I've learned never to predict the Beer League, honestly. It's unpredictable. You never know what's going to happen. I'm not even going to try for this one.
Still got a couple of cars waiting to the join before we duke things out for what has been dubbed as the Checo's Career Memorial. Of course, referring to Sergio Perez and his Red Bull exit for the Red Bull Racing Formula One team. It's cold, man. The Beer League takes no prisoners, right?
That's rough. I like it.
Well, we'll get no better place to have it here than at the Red Bull Ring, of course. But lights are out as revs start to build. And it is go, go, go for main event action here in Austria. A solid gather for this field. No problems yet on the approach up to turn number 1. But this is where the big test comes in. Do we survive the opening corner clean? 1 car, 2 cars, huge lockup. One slides to a stop. He's going to drop back about 10 positions. But so far, nobody going fully around.
Oh, thought we were going to see a much bigger accident with that. I mean, you don't see a car come stopping itself in the middle of turn number 1 and not see somebody come piling into it. Somehow, everybody able to get around Blake Gambrill. And as we file down into turn number 3, the top 2 get through clear. But whoever was it, Corey? No, sorry, Justin Hall, I believe, in 3rd place. Just about lost it coming out of turn number 3.
So far, like you said, though, still rolling, still clean, still green. Madole hanging on. Corey Barrett trying to go for the long way to sweep around the number 13. Now goes over and under, trying to make it the jump on the number 13. Can't get there, though.
Todd Madole hanging the inside of the racetrack here for the next couple of corners. Should be able to hang on to the spot unless Corey goes for a crazy over-under. Oh, no, huge wreck coming out of turn 4. Giovanni Romano's hood off onto the racetrack, tumbling down the running order. About 4 or 5 other cars coming off the racetrack with him, but Todd Madole able to hang on to the race lead. Corey Barrett still filing and right behind him.
About 5 or 6 getting caught up there at the tail of the field, taking another look back. They were looking for 3, looking for 4 wide. One car, though, up front of all of this, locked it up and just spun it around. There goes Thacker as well, and then everyone just came piling in from behind with nowhere to go.
And like I said earlier, the momentum just carries you out to the outside of that corner, just about nowhere to go once you already get your foot down, trying to come out of there. Car stopped on the exit, not going to be any good for anybody. Jake Kasich trying to make a move here just outside of just inside the top 10. Trying to take 8th place away from Austin Tucker, coming down the front straightaway, down into turn number 1. Can he break a little bit later? Can Tucker hang on around that outside? We've seen people do it earlier tonight, but Kasich's just going to edge him out and take the spot.
Alex Coffer, the main driver we're looking at, already up 14 spots after just lap number 1. So Coffer's still the main man to beat this afternoon. Justin Hall looking for the inside, trying to go for the lead, down to the turn number 3 around Corey Barrett. Lunges for the bottom lane, side by side still as they work their way off of turn 3. And I think Barrett maintains his run to the top of the hairpin.
Yeah, Barrett was able to get past Todd Madole, now hanging onto the race lead, giving Madole the draft down the back straightaway here. Madole just getting to the back bumper, but not able to clear Justin Hall. Hall going to dive it down to the inside. Not going to give up this fight for second, trying to clear him off the corner, but not going to be able to do it. Madole should have the inside for the next couple corners.
Still hugging that inside lane. Tom Badole scrambling for the bottom side. Chris Bright trying to get the nose in there as well. There's John Combs. There's Jason Lee trying to make something happen for it. As a bit of contact there as Combs trying to force Jason Lee out to the right side of the racetrack. Combs hangs on. And now here comes Badole. Here comes Hall. Here comes Ronenberg. As they all try to scrap it out for that top spot. That's allowing for Corey Barrett to build a gap, but it is only a slight one.
Barrett still hanging on to the race lead, but not out of the draft. Like you said, just a slight lead that he's got over Justin Ollier, and Justin's got a big-time push coming from Eric Ronenberg down the front and probably down into turn number 3 as well, down the longer straightaway. Both these guys just clawing their way up to the back bumper of Corey Barrett, and all of a sudden that lead's gone.
Corey Barrett able to get up in front of Justin Hall, Ronenberg, Badole, Bright, Casey, Tucker, by Combs, and Lee all scrambling for it. Justin Hall might try it again here to get around Corey Barrett. Look at a lunge back down to the inside. A big cut as well for Alexander Bueller off the hairpin. It'll be Justin Hall this time to take that one away. Oh, but Barrett hops the back of Eric Ronenberg's car and nearly sends himself into the air.
Now Bright looking to the outside of Corey Barrett. Can he get the long way around? Oh, a little bit further up. Looks like Justin Hall's under pressure once again. 2 wide battles coming through the corner. Just inside of the top 10 still. These guys all fighting for positions. Austin Tucker in the fray as well.
Whole field fanning out down throughout this pack right now. It is a battle up for the lead. Right now, all the way back from 1st to 9th, nobody is separated by more than 0.4 of a second. It is unbelievably close as it stands on board with Ronenberg as he tries to get himself in with a good run coming around through turn 8, setting ourselves up for 9 and 10.
Is it wrong that I'm secretly hoping for Crawford to wreck at some point in this race and get like 20 seconds stuck in the gravel? Because this has been fantastic without him up at the front. This has been fantastic without him up at the front. I mean, just the lead changing hands lap after lap. And so many contenders up at the front. Where's Crawford up to?
He's up to 27. He's up to 21st now. So he is already clawed through almost half of the field in just the opening 3 laps. He is on a mission right now. He just got up into the top 20 by getting around Sean Bradley.
It took him 5.5 minutes. God bless. He is already up to at the top 20. Crawford, what in the world are you doing? What do you have that these guys don't?
Confidence and perhaps something titanium. We'll see here how this is going to pan out there. Right now is Eric Ronenberg trying to get around there with Kasich. There you see Hall getting through there. Corey Barrett stuffs it in. Chris Bright, getting out wide with Austin Tucker trying to fight his way through the mix. It's almost strange that this is more packed up than we saw throughout pretty much the entirety of Le Mans.
That's a great point. I mean, maybe the long straights were too much. We just started seeing people, break into the little 2 or 3 car tandem. So,
yeah.
It led to more carnage with the bad bump drafts.
And
it kind of spread out the field
you
naturally.
saw the absolutely monstrous flip that we saw last week as well. Which one? We saw a couple of the monstrous flips that we saw last week as well, if it was any more than 3 cars.
Well, a big thing, too, the lead has just changed hands just about every single lap. Actually, I think it has changed hands every single lap. So whenever it's doing that, it's just going to lend itself to keeping the race packed up, right? Every time that somebody's challenging for the race lead, the 2 cars, 3 cars that are challenging for it are just going to bring everybody back into the fray because they're slowing each other down. And we've seen it time and time again, seeing still 10 race cars coming around the last sector of the racetrack here, 7 minutes into this thing, and they still all have a shot at the win.
Jake Kasich, the driver that I mentioned to keep an eye out for a potential contender to Alex Crawford. He has just put himself up onto the top step of the racetrack, but there is Crawford now within striking distance, up to 18th already in this race. Kasich doing his darndest to try to hang on, while Ronenberg is looking like he wants to go to the front as well. Still double file further down the field. Right now, Tom Badole has got no help in that number 13.
Yeah, Vidal on the inside there. Bueller now lined up with a little three-car tango down into turn number 3. Combs pushing. Chris Bright down into the corner. Maybe a little bit too much pushing. Vidal catches that inside curving. Just about rips that thing around. Looked like he might have been able to get a spot, but that yellow curb caught him out. Gonna have to give it right back to Bueller, the 58, that just goes right back by. And Vidal doing a good job to hang on, and he's the guy that won the heat race. And I said in the pre-race, it's just hard for these guys to, or sorry, not Vidal. Vidal transferred up to first. He's dropped back to 9th place. My mistake.
Oh, huge lock up there for the 9 and Corey
Spin, coming
Barrett
down
sliding
into turn
around.
number 4. Crawford getting slowed up in it, but expertly avoided somebody else go spinning off, though. He got pumped by Hammonds.
Quite a few cars there getting turned around. Sean Bradley went fully around in the midst of all of that. And Crawford, well, you nearly got your wish. Alex Crawford nearly got spun off the racetrack. Instead, he has only lost time. He has maintained his run in 18th.
Yeah, that did cost him 3 seconds. You never know how big that 3 seconds could be. So not necessarily terrible for all these guys, but man, we just saw how rapid he was in that heat race. I'd need a little bit more to feel comfortable if I was one of these front runners seeing Crawford coming through. But hey, every little bit helps as long as that caution flag doesn't come out.
Towards the front of the field, Jake Kasich has got Eric Ronenberg up in front. While that was all going on, there was a pass for the lead where we saw Ronenberg get to the point on Kasich. So looking like this will be a good show there as Kasich might try to get back at Ronenberg here. This was how he took the lead of this race. It was coming down in towards turn number 3. Just lunged with the inside and said, thank you very much. I'll take that spot away from you. And now Kasich trying to do the same as the Flying Donut Motorsports car. Gets to the inside, and Ronenberg thought about going for the over-under, instead decided to push. I think they're trying to stay in front of Crawford.
Yeah, I mean, they're racing each other so hard that I don't know. I don't know if they are even thinking about it at this point. You would think that, hey, maybe we should work together a little bit down these straightaways, not hurt each other too much, not slow each other down. But we saw Crawford. He was back to just about 10 seconds off these guys. He's got it back down to 9 once again, just from them fighting each other. And that's while he's passing people back there outside the top 15. He's got himself up to 14.
Kyle Blevins spun around tail end of the field while Jake Kasich continued to try to hang on against a charging Eric Ronenberg from behind. Right now, haven't seen too much movement in the top 10, right? There's been a lot of position swaps, but nobody really fighting their way for the back to get into the top 10. It's been the same 10 contenders quite consistently for the last little while.
The top 10 here, not really. I mean, they've been changing a couple positions throughout them at points, but, it's just the same consistent 10 that we've been seeing up here. They've dropped Darren Bai, Jason Lee have fallen off of this main pack. We saw the incident earlier just with a couple of the guys that were around that top 10, top 15 area, kind of losing some time. Separated, or the top 8 have separated themselves, but even though they're pulling away from the guys behind them, they're still racing hard up front. Ronenberg and Kasich going at it down the straight once again. Does Justin Hall make it 3 wide, or does he pick someone to push?
It doesn't look like he's going to try to push anyone. He's just going to kind of run his own line. Kasich round the outside of turn 3 and should easily be able to pick up the lead there from Ronenberg. And in fact, he will do just that. Justin Hall still maintaining his run in third, now trying to push Ronenberg up to the front. I think he's just trying to make sure that these guys really can stay close and that nobody tries to run away with it. Shows he was paying attention in the sprint.
Ronenberg still looking at the inside. Kasich way wide. Onto the AstroTurf on the outside. Can Kasich keep the left rear? Oh, they're going to make contact. I thought he was going to turn him. Kasich doing everything he can to keep Ronenberg behind. He's going to have the inside line, so he's got the better groove through these next couple of corners, and he's going to be able to take that back away from Ronenberg, but he almost did it the dirty way.
Boy, this is a great race that we're having here, though, so far. I mean, lead changes practically every single lap. An intense battle that's got a lot of cars in it for the top spot, and all throughout, you got one that is slowly but surely working his way to the front. Crawford is in to the top 15. Ronenberg to the lead in turn 9.
I'm going to start a petition to get Alex Crawford kicked out of the league.
Don't do that.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I love Crawford. I love his shenanigans. But man, this is fantastic up here for the top spot. And even just outside the top 5. Tucker Combs going at it, getting squirrely, and still racing up for the race lead. These guys just can't get it settled.
Casey once again takes the spot. Now, see, that was a strategic giving up of position there for Eric Ronneberg, because now he's got the draft on the longest straight on the racetrack. Now we're seeing the drafting game started to be played. Nobody wants to be in the lead of this race because they know they're going to be vulnerable. But look at how hard Casey is trying to give that lead. He's leaving that door so wide open, really trying to bait Ronneberg into trying to go for it.
I was about to say, I'm surprised that second place hadn't changed hands too much, but Corey Barrett just sent it in there down into turn number 3 like a bat out of hell. Did not hit the brakes until later than we've seen anybody do it so far tonight. And able to pick up a couple spots and get himself up to second, and finally some separation between first and second with Kasich benefiting from it.
Well, I think Corey Barrett, he saw these games started to play out, but I think he's realized, well, fine, if they're going to play games, don't mind if I get into the mix as well here. It's just, it's such a struggle here trying to see how this is all going to pan out. Right now, Corey Barrett trying to run down Kasich. Important to know, Kasich has separation. He is not safe, though. If Justin Hall can give him some good bumps down the straights here, he is going to be right back into the fray.
Yeah, it's not going to take much to run a solo guy down. With that long straightaway that you have between turns 1 and 3, there is absolutely nothing you can do in the race lead. Unless you are just the fastest man on the planet through the center sectors, you're just not going to be able to pull away from 2 guys that are just able to shove down those straightaways. But right now, Barrett doesn't have a lot of help too close. Hall's still 2/10 off of his bumper, but Hall's got a little bit of help. They're going to be able to reconvene down the front straightaway here. No, Hall's going to go for the move.
Big lunge to the inside. Justin Hall takes up the top step. Corey Barrett, Justin Hall, Chris Bright, Eric Ronneberg, all in the midst, all up in the mix. Jake Kasich started to pull out that gap, and this is what we were worried about, right? They're 2 folks on fighting each other instead of helping each other, and now they can say, whoa, look out, Bright! Takes out Justin Hall! Big crash up into turn 3.
Oh, that's what we were worried about right there. Chris Bright taking out down into turn number 3, wiping out Justin Hall. Just twitchy under braking. I don't know if he got a tap or what. John Combs off in the grass. He had an issue coming out of the corner as well. And it all started with, Justin Hall going for the move down the front straightaway. I feel like if he helps his teammate, we just see a conga line that catches up to Jake Kasich. Instead, 2 of them are out of the race, or at least the race for the win. And, well, they've lost a ton of time to Kasich.
Ouch, that's a heavy leg. I'm curious what happened to John Combs here, because he's over in the grass. Did he get forced there? No, he served a slowdown penalty.
Thought maybe he had some type of damage or something that sent him down there, and he was waiting for the auto repair to hit or something, but John Combs getting hit with a slowdown in the middle of that. Actually, that might have been, was he the one that got into the back of Chris Bright there, coming down to turn 3?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, he was. I think he was penalizing himself.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah, Combs sent Bright down into the corner, and he ended up penalizing himself after that. So probably a nice call there from Combs, at least sportsmanship. Just stinks that it ended up taking out 2-3 contenders out of that main pack, because we've been raving about, 10 cars under a blanket. Now, well, it's kind of shattered.
Well, that's broken up the leading battle quite significantly. Corey Barrett is dropping back to the clutches of Alexander Bueller, Austin Tucker, and Eric Ronneberg. But further down the field, there's still a bunch of other fights that have been picking themselves up as well, including this one here between Romano, Catlin, Vasic, and Dupuis. While just in front, Hammonds, Bright, Wolf, and Clayton all trying to get into the mix as well.
Romano continuing his run to the front of the field after he's been caught up in incident after incident at the beginning of this thing. Honestly, I think he's had 2 or 3 little moments so far at the beginning of this thing, but still able to fight himself up to 17th. Just hasn't been able to keep the same pace as Copper coming through the field, getting caught up in those wrecks. The 99 still able to come through, though. 14 seconds off the race lead. Don't count him out just yet, especially if we get a yellow. But if you're Romano, you're thinking, well, Coffert's only 7 seconds off the lead. It's going to be tough to actually get up there and challenge him.
42 minutes, 30 seconds still remain, and already Crawford has fought his way from way back on 40th on the grid up to 9th. I mean, talk about a legendary push here. He's trying to make that little, that guess about getting to the lead before the halfway point come true.
And he's, yeah, it's looking like it might be a reality. He's taking 8th place away from Tyler Carlton right here, and it's going to be a little bit easier for him to pick up some of these spots since they've kind of separated all the 27 and the 71 of Evan Campbell around Alex Harrison in the 751.
Oh boy, what is going on here? That looked like just a whole host of clumsiness from a host of different parties. So Hopkins gets into the back of Campbell, spins him around, and then out wide, 2 more cars go spinning. It's completely separate to all of this. Then there comes Campbell just flying into the mix, and then come rejoin on the racetrack right on the racing line.
Sometimes things just kind of explode out of nowhere, and we get 3 incidents kind of going on at the same time in the same corner. Kind of what we saw there coming out of the last corner. And you know, you get down to the bottom, down coming through this last corner, and you know the hill kind of goes away. It's a little divot. Kind of easy to lose the back end, and well, even easier whenever you get a little tap from the back as well. Verhulst's getting in the back there.
They're still kind of all in their own little battle pack as well. A bit more isolated way down the tail of the field for 30th on down, but still very much in a fight nonetheless. Meanwhile, the 119 of Ron Wolf, Alexander Hammonds, they're both still in the good lunge. You got Jason Lee, you got John Combs, all still in the mix. And of course, Barrett and Ronenberg, within 40 minutes to go, they're still within striking distance of each other. Critically, I think they are starting to reel in Kasich little by little. Last lap by Bueller, 3/10 quicker. Kasich's lead is not secure. I think they finally realize they need to be working together instead of against each other.
Yeah, I think that's a safe bet. These 4 have kind of found their footing, I would say, as they're starting to catch up to Jake Kasich up for the race lead. All of them just kind of staying in that draft down the straightaways. Nobody really challenging. Bueller, Tucker, Barrett, Ronenberg. Oh, Todd Manol getting spun. Oh, Tyler Carlton getting involved as well. Jason Lee.
Oh, is he going over? He did not go over, but boy, he tried to. We are, by the way, within the caution window. We've been in it for about 15 minutes now, and still no sign of any safety car period in this race. And I think a lot of drivers right now trying to run these tanks effectively dry, trying to get whatever they can muster.
Yeah, you want to push it as far as it'll let you, I would say. You know, if you can maybe cut out a pit stop with a caution flag coming out. So you want to push that thing to the very limit. If you're on the fringes, it's just, you know, the straightaways here, you'd think maybe you run out of fuel just a little bit quicker. Now, obviously, sector 2 and 3, not too bad. Maybe save some gas. Oh, 3 wide here. Matthew Dupuis out of absolutely nowhere. Where did that run come from for Dupuis? Might be able to pick off 2 here. Already got one of them done. Into the inside, gonna get them both there. Oh, the 87, or sorry, the 187. Ben Williams getting shoved out wide.
Keaton Crothers, Giovanni Romano looking to power through. Jason Lee and John Combs are both in the mix. Combs looking to sweep in and around while Lee fights off Crothers, Romano, and Hammonds further down the pack right now. Ronenberg looking for the inside. He's going to pick up a spot on Corey Barrett.
Just having a tuck in line. I was saying these guys were working nice together, but Ronenberg wanted to pick up one of the spots, and they're actually starting to lose time to Kasich. Back to 2 seconds is Alexander Bueller, but coming down to turn number 3, it kind of dissipates as Bueller drives in deeper, but just does not get the exit out that he needed. And, well, that second pack starting to drop off the back of Kasich now.
Still got a pretty big momentum run going for several drivers throughout this. I think now we've more or less settled into the rhythm of this race, right? We're into the rank and file. Everybody's, I think, kind of falling into that long run pace. I think it's evident there's not going to be a safety car anytime soon. So I think a lot of drivers have kind of just come to terms that, hey, this is how this race is going to go. Time to start thinking long term instead of going for the short term run. And Kasich is starting to settle into a good pace as well as this pack getting broken up here by Ronenberg's attempts to stay on the podium. And that is costing them dearly as Kasich gets back out to 2.5 seconds with the lead.
Kasich is just smiling ear to ear. Even, you pay attention to that gap to second, and that's kind of what we've been mostly focusing on. That's a big deal that he's stretched that out to just about 3 seconds. But even bigger, the gap to Cofford is not really shrinking, right? I mean, Cofford's been stuck at about 7.5 seconds for what feels like about 10 minutes. I don't think he's making much ground on Kasich either.
Well, he's not in the draft at all. Right now, Cofford is in a good bit of no man's land deeper down the field, so I think that might be hampering him a little bit as well. You kind of see him right at the tail end. Nobody's with him, but nobody's against him. Critically, he's still pulling away from Darren Bai on back. So this is a gap that I think is starting to come down the more these guys fight it out with one another. And he's like, yes, good. He's cackling like a Disney villain, watching these guys fight it out in front of him because the top 5 is very much in striking distance.
Yeah, but Alex Cofford wants a little bit more, right? He's thinking about that race win. But, him catching this pack could help him, obviously, for that as well. He'll get a little bit of a draft to pull him up there. And maybe, he could pick up one of those guys at the front of that pack and shove them up there as well. I feel like in a mano-a-mano battle, being 7.5 seconds back, if he gets to the front of that pack, I don't know if he can run down Kasich all by himself, but if he shoves somebody up there with him, maybe, just maybe, down those straightaways, you'd be able to gain enough time on Kasich to run him down by the end of this thing.
"25 minutes deep into this race, 35 minutes on the clock. Corey Barrett, Eric Ronenberg, Austin Tucker, all under a blanket still. And you got Jason Lee, Giovanni Romano, John Combs, Alexander Hammonds in a bit of a battle. Off the road, oh boy, Steve McClendon looking like he's run into a little bit of an issue. As well as Purcell, who is going to drop off some sandwiches at the Marshall stand, it would appear.
Not an ideal way to get out of there for Catlin.
No, not at all. That was Carson Catlin. And then Chris Flams having this problem. As just like Purcell, he just went in a little bit. Oh, no, sorry. I thought that was Purcell. That was not Purcell. This was Purcell doing what I can't say. It doesn't look like he was doing anything. I might have just completely confused those two drivers. So, I greatly apologize, you two, and trying to track down what happened to McClendon in his spin. Well, there he is right there. This is coming down towards pit road. What happened here? He got tipped. Well, it took a minute. We found it eventually, though.
That was the one time where I felt like I was behind the production controls. I feel like I'm the one always confusing the cars. I know this one though. Austin Tucker coming down to pit road, being the first guy to make the call.
And Darren Bai in as well. Jason Lee in this lap. So is Brooks Clayton. All of them coming down and into pit road on lap number 33. So right now, on the track map, that number 11 car, top right of the screen, right there entering turn 3, that is your race leader, Jake Kasich. Carson Catlin, the 666, he is the driver that is right now running down in last place, and here's everybody else that is right now in pit road, a bit more faded on the track map.
Ben Williams was looking at the inside there, Tyler Carlton. couldn't quite get the move done, but a 5-car battle pack a little bit further back in the pack for the 12th place position has formed up. Man, this would be a great battle if it was for the heat race transfer. Carlson wishing it was so that he could start up on the pole, but instead just a battle for 12th here at the end of or in the middle portion here. But Tyler Carlson's going to go around off the nose of Ben Williams down to the turn 4.
Oh, and Ben Williams slowing up, going to look to redress that situation. Good sportsmanship there as Ben Williams allows for Carlton to get through. Fights on for second. Ronenberg takes the spot away from Bueller. Your race leaders into pit road, as is Corey Barrett.
So we're finally starting to see those pit stops. It's just outside of that 30-minute mark. You would typically think these guys, if they could make it, they would want to push it past that mark. But, you know, getting down to this point, maybe they're just thinking, hey, if that caution flag comes out, we're absolutely golden. We're good. I'd rather beat these guys down pit road and hope that caution comes out, save a little bit of gas if I have to during that, to be able to make it to the end. But looking like a clear one-stopper here tonight, coming down to 31 minutes to go. Got to think we're going to be able to make it to the end from here.
We're going to change this up on the track map so you can see exactly what number position everybody is in as it stands. So right now, first to about 12, make that now 13th on the racetrack, have not come down to pit road as of yet. Alexander Bueller and Eric Ronenberg are still packed up line astern, while everyone else is steadily, one by one, working their way through pit road with not much to say right now on pit road. It's a busy place, but everything's been pretty status quo.
Everything pretty normal here coming down pit road for a couple more people. I got to think at the end of the lap, you'll see a couple coming around that last corner. Nearing that halfway point, you got to think everybody coming down pit road, especially now. You are absolutely good to get to the end. May have some questions for the first couple that came down like Tucker, but everybody else since then, got to think they're going to be fine. But the 751 finding himself spun out. Alex Harrison not having a great night.
Yeah, Harrison with a bit of an unfortunate run in his Flying Delta Motorsports car. Still up 4 positions where we started, but that has not been helped with that spin. That was after he managed to get himself rejoined fully up on the racetrack. Alex Crawford coming down to pit road, but the top 2 staying out still.
Wait a minute. That's not good for Crawford.
You don't think?
That is not good. No, the pit's closed before he got to him.
Oh, no, and that means safety car imminent.
Oh, my goodness. He's going to have a black flag, isn't he? That's going to be an EOL. I think I might have got my wish, Nolan.
We'll have to see. This is going to be a tight call for Crawford.
Who needs a petition when you
know
just need
what?
a perfectly timed yellow?
This isn't good, though, for Bueller and these guys either. They're not going to be able to make it another lap.
Oh, look at them save. Are they,
yeah.
They're just
well,
sitting
they
here
just
coasting
realized
down
the caution's
straight.
they've realized the caution is coming out here. If they might not be able to make it another lap, because now they're going to have to go at least one more lap than they anticipated.
Oh my goodness, this is a beer league first. I have never.
That is the hazards, though, of running the tank dry. Bueller has cut the car off and is coasting.
Oh my goodness. You got to think. I mean, he's got to have at least, to get to the end of this lap on gas. But obviously, he is cutting it as close as he possibly could have because he has just given up so much time down those straightaways. And you got to think he's going to give up a whole lot more. But it's just, when is that caution going to come out? Is it going to save him from bleeding any more spots?
I'd be worried about Ronenberg because he's been by far the most aggressive out of the lot there from that first run. And he's not showing any signs of slowing down either. And there's the yellow flag. So safety car deployed for the first time and what will probably be the only time this afternoon. But this is big for these drivers. And Ronenberg is forced to come to pit road. He could not stretch out another lap.
So a lot of these guys that have been running up at the front all day, all race along,
Bueller's
are
taking
going to
the
be
risk.
The back. Oh my goodness.
Bueller going to take the risk. Thacker couldn't make it around. Carlton couldn't make it. Blevins can't make it. All of them are into pit road.
Cars that have been running top 12, top 15 all night long, even guys all the way at the front of the field, have just gotten their races completely thrown on its head. And after the caution period, they're only going to have, what, 20, 22, 23 minutes left to fix everything. They're just not going to be able to get back up to the front.
That caution,
Wow.
that yellow flag, though, man, I mean, that could not have come at a worse time for the top 7 on this field.
No.
That is the absolute
Absolutely.
worst case scenario for them. And then this is why, when you get to these time races with random cautions, this is why you don't run a tank out dry. Because now you're stuck. You want to come down when you have a couple of laps, or you want to plan to come down when you have those couple of laps still in the bank, because that way, if a caution does come out, not only are you then cycled to the front, but you don't have to worry about saving fuel under caution like these guys are.
And this is why we don't decide a championship in one race, because if we did, we could have a champion come down to this, something like this. I know we're not in the championship, but, you know, sometimes I just got to throw a dig in NASCAR in there, out of nowhere. I know you respect it as a playoff hater. Maybe not. Bueller currently in the lead. Is he going to be able to make it around?
Oh, the good news of where it's at right now, right? He can coast a good chunk of this way down the hill, right? So he's not working on trying to get uphill. He's got that working for him. So, well, we'll wait and see. I'll tell you what, we'll take ourselves a step back and we will go side by side throughout this pit stop window on Green Flag TV. Cautions out for the first time tonight at the Red Bull Ring.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Green Flight TV, ready to go back to racing, this time from the Red Bull Ring. 20 minutes are on the clock. About a dozen laps are left in this race unless we get another yellow flag within the next 5 minutes.
Still enough time for that yellow flag to come out, but I gotta think. Sorry, I might have left that one a little late for you. My bad. But I gotta think. We're gonna run green to the end of this thing. We're gonna stay nice, clean, and green. The algorithm's not gonna screw us, and we're gonna get a good race between the guys that we got left at the front, and it'll be fun to watch those guys with the EOLs to see how far or they can make it up the front of the field.
Coming off of the final corner. Early launch from Kasich trying to get that advantage. Green flags out. We are back to racing.
Kasich with the clear advantage down into turn number 1. Barrett not close enough to do anything, but he's going to be firmly in that draft. It's just about how many cars are going to stay in it with a chance to win this thing. A little bit of contact further back through turn 1, but ultimately no spinners, nothing major. The whole field seems to be clean.
Everybody clean and green as we work up the hill now in towards that fierce turn 3 hairpin. A lot of cars having EOL penalties. Covidos among them has been mired now back in 29th and beyond, with so many others still clean through turn 3 this time around, looking to be just as clean of a start as he had for the race start.
Kasich surprisingly not under fire after those straightaways. I thought that Barrett would be able to make a challenge in the draft, but not able to get close enough. 3 wide though. Tom Middle stuck in the middle. Jeremy Castro coming through on the inside. Filing through back to the exit of turn 4. Everybody filing through 2, 3 wide, and everybody getting through clean.
A couple of cars going around. Among those was Ethan Condy at the tail of the field. I think you had just seen him sideways on the left side of the racetrack. Getting on the brakes. Has he been hit from Blake Gamble? Yes, he was. Spun him out wide and into the gravel trap.
Mostly clean, except for Condy, unfortunately. But
well,
both. All the starts tonight have been some of the best we've seen in the beer league, I gotta say.
Crawford trying to throw his way up into the field. He is up now to 23rd. Big puff of smoke just in front of them. Somebody getting a little bit out of... Whoa, look out! One of the Hill Satin cars is off. That's Devin Purcell being shoved out wide into the grass.
Heck of a save from Purcell. I thought for sure once he got in the grass he was going to be looping that thing across the field, but has put himself under fire. Alex Crawford going through on the inside of the racetrack, getting a good run there, trying to make another run down the long straightaway. Purcell losing a couple spots. One car going off into the barriers out of turn number 1. Can't quite tell. Who is that?
That's Jordan Babcock, the number 39.
Oh, that had to have been a huge incident coming out of turn 1. Oh, just getting hit from behind. The 26. Oh, huge impact for Jordan Babcock.
And now Jason Lee having a small off. He's going to get himself righted. They're side by side for second, and there's a bit of a tandem back here as well for 6th on down that we see. 17 minutes and counting. 2 minutes to go before the caution window closes this afternoon. Tucker and Barrett both trying to get themselves working with the big lunge. John Combs working himself in as well. Chris Bright Picks up the 5th place spot as well.
Tucker now the main challenger, up to 2nd. Can he be the one to run down Jake Kasich now that he's got Corey Barrett all over his back bumper, shoving him down into the last sector? Oh, Tyler Carlton around. Saw one guy going through the kitty litter. I think it was Aaron Thacker going through the gravel trap.
Steve McClendon
guys
as well.
each other.
Started with McClendon. It kind of just escalated. And Gamble again, left with nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Kasich going to be put under fire here for sure by Austin Tucker as they've worked their way through turn 1. And now Tucker's got all that slipstream all the way for the straight. Half a second, closing fast for the 243.
Tucker, huge slipstream, didn't have any help down the back or down the long straightaway there. Almost under fire from Barrett, who did have the help, but Barrett's just gonna, just lay off of his back bumper and then shove him down the next straightaway. He wants to get himself into that fight for first place. They saw how it just did not work out. They let Kasich get away the last time. They cannot get to fighting each other too early.
15 seconds on the clock, and then the caution window will expire this afternoon. Looking like this is going to be just a one safety car race, as is so often the case for these beer league races on Green Flag TV. Around goes the 22 of Darren Bai. Bai spins it out middle of the field, almost collected Alexander Bueller and more. Caution window is closed. We are done, and even more cars going around at the tail of the field. That's Darren Bai up against Steph Purcell is there, and I think Kyle Blevins was the other offender.
And Kasich, that lead has completely shrunk. Austin Tucker is climbing up to the back bumper. He's there. He is absolutely all over it now. Now that he's on the back bumper through the last sector, firmly in that draft, what can he do down to the front straight? What can he do? More importantly, down that long straightaway, got to think he's just going to set him up down the front stretch, get as close as he can. He actually lost a little bit of ground in that last corner. Might put himself under fire. Corey Barrett. Oh, Corey Barrett's going for the move. I thought he'd help him. But he's going to go to the inside, dive in late, and Barrett trying to take the spot. Tucker not willing to give it up, but Barrett's going to take it from him.
Austin Tucker trying to get back to Corey Barrett, but again, look at how quickly Jake Kasich opens up that 8.5 of a second lead. They cannot afford to be doing this if they want to have a chance at the win. Jake Kasich trying to stuff it in there. Austin Tucker takes away the number 2 spot, and once again, he's going to be the main guy to try to push their way up to that 11 car. They got to wait until they're alongside with Kasich before they think about going side by side. Otherwise, he just takes off every time they get alongside each other.
Yeah, and they're doing it again. Barrett looking to the inside. They're just letting Kasich get away at this point. But Barrett's not willing to give up the fight. Down to the inside once again, trying to take it. But Tucker on the outside groove now is going to turn into the inside for 2 more corners. So it just ends up being a fruitless move that costs him time.
Bit of 3 wide, deeper in the field. Connie, Verhulst, Crothers, and more. Look at the stuff into the inside there from Keaton Crothers. Oh, and 1 car around. That's the 43 of Tyler Vietnam that's been spun off the racetrack.
43 already spun out. Everybody just coming around trying to avoid at that point. Coming down to turn 4. An idea what happened here to Tyler Vietnam. Oh, did he just get into the back? No, he just lost it all on his own. We've seen it a couple times through that corner. Like I said earlier, the not banking, but I guess the hill goes away in the racetrack, right? The elevation is kind of fading, and at that point, the corner just kind of divots out from under you. And
oh boy!
We've seen it catch a couple people out.
Boy, Corey Barrett is getting the elbows out, really squeezing John Combs, forcing him over, and now Jesus pushed him right off the racetrack. Corey Barrett not showing too much give here. It's all take for the 7 car. He already almost forced Combs out of the grass on the front stretch, and I think these guys are about done with his antics, as nobody has wanted to work with him.
Down to the inside, almost getting into Combs there through 3. Like you said, though, I think they're almost forcing Corey Barrett out of it. Chris Bright's looking to the inside now. Just fighting too much. They've lost touch to Jake Kasich up at the front. 1.7 seconds that Tucker is now behind the number 11. I mean, Kasich, he's done great up in the front, right? He's been super quick. But he's gotten so lucky with the way that they've just raced each other back there for a second instead of just staying in his draft and giving themselves an opportunity to fight for it.
I'm a bit surprised that we're seeing this kind of aggression from Corey Barrett. I mean, the win is on the line here. You can go for it. Like,
and it's not like they're teammates. It's not like he's helping a teammate, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're on different teams.
Now, credit to Corey Barrett. I can understand a little bit why he would be looking to put himself in with a good shot for this one. Because right now, he is fighting for the best finishing position of his beer league career. The only time he has ever been able to get this close, and in fact, he's only got one top 5, and it was all the way back at the start of this league with the touring cars, where he finished in 5th place, and that was at that was at Mount Panorama. So he has not been this close to a race win since then. He is desperate to go for a spot. So he sees just a career best, and that's what he's going for. He's not seeing the big picture with the race win on the line.
Yeah, I don't blame him for, trying to make every move that he can, and I don't necessarily blame the guy for trying to make a move for second. In fact, he had a good run on Tucker down the front straightaway, one lap whenever they were only 4 or 5 tenths off the race lead. And I thought that was a good attempt, a good move that you can make because Tucker was slow. He made a mistake, but they just kept making moves on each other, and I'm like, oh man, you're just losing way too much time for it to be worth it, and kind of taking themselves out of contention. Luckily though, Tucker's starting to actually run down Kasich. Him and Combs, they were working down that back straightaway the last time, and they're cutting into that lead big time. It's down to just about a second. They're just about inside the draft.
Well, that's just it, right? I mean, they keep bump trapping each other. That's why this is working. They keep working together. And I think it's a case of they want to work together. Corey Barrett's just been the cork in the bottle. They've been like, dude, move. We're trying to go for a win here. So that's why they kind of pushed him out wide. And I think now that Corey Barrett's kind of dropped off of this, he was trying to force them to battle with him. Now they're forcing him to work with them if he wants to get that coveted podium.
And they're still just pulling him along with them, right? So it's not like it's really hurt him that bad because they're running down Kasich, and he's in the draft, so he's just going to be running down Kasich too. So it's not like it's cost him anything massive, it looks like, but you would have liked to have been in the battle a little bit earlier. You don't want to leave yourself too little time to actually make it work. You were in 3rd before, now you're 4th, and you've cut out probably 4 or 5 minutes that you could have worked with to try to get those spots. Are those 4 or 5 minutes going to matter? Only time will tell.
Corey Barrett within the top 10 drivers that has had the most starts without a single win to his name. He is going on start number 67 this afternoon and still chasing the top spot. The driver right now that wants to put that win most of all, Jeremy Castro, 78. This is a 78th start without a win. And yet
Castro hasn't won a race? Really?
Nope, has never won
That's
a race.
Impressive.
But again, not for lack of trying. Whoa, one car spins out. That's not Alexander Bueller. That's Top Adol that gets dropped towards the tail of the field. But yeah, Jeremy Castro has never won a race in the beer league. He has come close, though. I will say that much. I mean, he's come close. He's gotten several 4th place finishes, and 2 of those we actually covered as well during the Toyota GR86 Series season from Tsukuba and Montreal. But no, Castro never even on the podium.
Wow. It's coming one day for you, Jeremy. That shocks me. I think he's got the pace to do it at some point.
You could have sworn. I remember talking to him one day or another.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I could have swore we had actually interviewed him. Maybe whenever we were doing the amateur race winners consistently at that point. But either way, the race for the lead, it's completely on. Tucker and Combs, they're there, and they've actually dropped Barrett. Barrett's a whole second off, and he doesn't have any help from behind, really. Bright's too far back to do anything.
Well, if Chris Bright can catch him here and these guys start battling for the lead, they'll be reeled right back in within no time. 7 minutes on the clock this afternoon. That is about 5 laps worth of racing action. This race for the lead is on.
Kasich coming out of turn number 1 down the long straightaway. And crucially, there's a couple lap cars in front, too, that these guys could catch a draft on at a certain time. Maybe give them a opportunity to get past Kasich, or maybe even use one of those lap cars as a pick. But Tucker, with the big push down to turn number 3, not going to go for it. Maybe saving it for this next straight.
Trying to save whatever he's got in the tank. Right now, we're seeing a good, solid drive from John Combs and from Austin Tucker. There's still a long way to go, though, before this race is over. Still a lot of opportunities. And again, like you mentioned, some lap traffic is still very much in the way and has yet to be decided as well. So that's the big question now. Who is going to take home the W in racing action here so far this afternoon? There's not a lot of time left to get these wins in.
Tucker just about lost it in that last corner as well. He got so twitchy coming down into the apex of the corner, just missed the mark on the brakes a little bit, and about fishtailed it out of contention for the win, but able to hang on. And Combs is staying committed to his back bumper. He's not making that move like we saw Corey do a little bit earlier. He's staying committed with Tucker and just trying to push him up to Kasich, and also, like I said, drop Barrett and Bright out of the picture.
John Combs, only with one race win to his name. Jake Kasich, the newcomer of the bunch, also with only one race win, which came at Orem Park in the GT4s. Meanwhile, Austin Tucker chasing win number 6. And those 5 wins he's got previously spanned out across 4 seasons. Now, Tucker trying to go for another one. Win number 6 on the line, Tucker to the lead.
Kasich did not get a good run, but he finds the hole in between the two, gets a tap from Combs down the straightaway. Kasich somehow able to hang on, gets a speed boost from it too, and able to go down to the inside. The bump draft from Combs that he didn't mean to give might end up giving Kasich the race lead back, coming out of 3, and it looks like it's going to Combs, now committed to the back bumper of the 11.
Trying to see if he can push Jake Kasich along here. Tucker side by side, but Combs trying to push Kasich clear to the front. And again, this is dragging Chris Bright and Corey Barrett in. We're about to get a 5-horse race for the lead. Meanwhile, Kasich takes the lead back from Tucker. Tucker, though, trying to force the issue as they work their way down to the turn number 6.
Tucker down to the inside, trying to take the race lead. He's got the inside for 2 corners, but not able to really get any headway through the first one. Kasich still with a nose ahead. Can he keep that number 11 in front? Tucker trying to squeeze him out. Can the 243 get clear? He's not going to do it. Kasich back to the inside for the last couple on the lap and able to hang on to the race lead, but Combs to the back bumper of Tucker again.
John Combs trying to push Austin Tucker through to the point. Kasich, top to bottom, he's going to try to take it back away at 9 and 10. John Combs just doesn't know who to help out here. Kasich forcing Tucker out to the left side of the racetrack. And now, once again, John Combs into the grass with Austin Tucker as they try to push each other past Jake Kasich.
Kasich now getting passed by Combs as well. Can he hang on the inside? Combs with a slightly better run. Who does Tucker give the draft to down the straightaway? Trying to break it. These two just stuck side by side, making contact, losing ground now to Tucker in front. And Bright and Barrett are coming back into the fray.
They're both trying to see if they can't get that little bit of slipstream, which is why we see them beating and banging. Kasich tucks in line. John Combs now has the chance to try to go for win number 2.
Tucker didn't get a good run out of that corner either. He was a little bit wide, had to go over the sausage curb. And now Combs firmly in the draft. Just going to go for the push to the back of the 243, choosing not to make a move, but blocking Kasich down into the corner. Going to force him into a move into the inside of Austin Tucker. He didn't want to make it, but he's there now. Just going to back out of it, out of the corner, and try to find that hole back in front of Kasich.
Austin Tucker hanging firm. John Combs to the inside of Kasich takes away the number 2 spot. Tucker right now running up there with that second position. Tucker with that 243 hanging on for the top spot. Corey Barrett is in the mix. Corey Barrett with a chance to try to take his first win of this beer league career. Chris Bright in the number 10 car is also in the fray. And right now for Chris Bright, checking to see where he's at in terms of progression in that win column. I do believe he already, though, has got wins in this championship as well. But, boy, it would be really, really good to take up another one. His first win came earlier this very season.
The top 5, all with a shot to win it with 2 laps to go. Austin Tucker hanging on to it with Combs just still committed to that back bumper. He's just trying to keep these guys out of the race. He knows if he gets side by side one time down this straightaway, it brings Kasich into it. It brings Bright into it. It brings Barrett. He's just not willing to do it until the last lap, but Kasich is not willing to sit in third. He's going to dive it to the inside of Combs and to the inside of Tucker before we get to the inside of 3, and somehow Kasich's going to pass them both.
2 laps to go for the lead of this race. There is lap traffic up the road. Kasich hanging on from Combs, from Tucker. Do they try to go for 3 wide? Not quite this time around. John Combs looking for the inside, can't get the job done. 1 car out wide, that's the lap traffic getting out of the way.
Kasich blocking off Combs here through the sweeper. Combs looking to the inside now. Does he get the overlap? He's going to dive it down to the inside. John Combs now finally going for the race.
No!
Kasich, first right, spins off into the gravel trap. Bright out of it from 4th place. I don't know if he got contact or just lost it on his own, but Bright completely out of it, but Combs to the lead.
John Combs took his first and so far only win, one of his only wins of his beer league career, out at Road Atlanta in an absolutely torrential GT4 race, trying to pick up win number 2 with clear skies from the beer league here at the Red Bull Ring. 1 lap to go, Kasich is there.
Kasich looking at the inside. I can't believe he's not willing to wait. You'd think you do it down one of the last straightaways on the lap. Not this early, but Kasich wants it early. He's trying to take the lead right here, right now. But Combs, I think he's fine with that. He wants this draft down the long straight.
Final lap of racing action this afternoon. While John Combs tries to get something working with him, Corey Barrett chasing his first win of his beer league career.
Oh my.
Looks to get around Tucker, 3 wide. Are they going to look for 4? They're going to double it back out as they get up to turn 3 of the hairpin. Combs to the front, Barrett up to 2nd.
Somehow Corey Barrett has gotten himself back into the fray right behind Jake Kasich. This time, I think Barrett's just got to stay committed to the back of him. Let him carry him up there, see if they can get side by side, because Combs has a bit of a lead. But no, Barrett's looking to the inside. Kasich just going to break later and closes the gap completely to the back of the 32. Kasich giving himself one more shot.
Jake Kasich still within striking distance. John Combs entering turn 6 for the final time today. Whoa! Pinching Kasich out to the left-hand side. Kasich trying to force the issue. Stuffs it in as Combs goes out the track. He's up and into the gravel trap. John Combs gets it back out onto the racetrack. Keep it between the white lines. Now through turn 8. 2 more corners to go. Can Corey Barrett take win number 1 of his beer league career? They're side by side for the lead of the race. Down into the final couple of corners. Kasich round the long way at turn 9. John Combs trying to fend him off down from the inside. Turn number 10 for the final time. Corey Barrett is right there. Victory is so close. 3 wide with the drag race. Kasich, I think, just manages to hang on. No, Combs.
Kasich missed the
takes
shift.
it. Kasich missed the shift. John Combs takes his 2nd win of his beer league career.
What? Kasich had the run coming out of the corner. It just that had to have been a missed shift. I saw him do it down the longer straightaway about a lap before that, and he blew it down the front straightaway.
Corey Barrett will take his first podium of his beer league career. Take another look at this. As they fan out 3 wide. Kasich had it 1, misses the shift by the smallest of margins, and just like that, you see John Combs come through to take up the checkered flag and finally become a repeat winner right on board with this heartbreaker of a last lap for Kasich.
I don't know if he missed a shift or if he let off the gas or ran out of gas. I'm not quite sure.
Probably a slowdown penalty. He let off the gas. He probably had a slowdown penalty from running off the track there in the final corner.
Wouldn't it be a little bit longer than that, though,
It
and
sure
he would
would.
get relegated even further?
I'm willing to bet we're about to see him not finishing this race on the podium tonight.
Oh.
What a finish, though. So a huge step up for several drivers in this field, and still waiting on 2 more to come across the line. But what an absolutely stunning race from the Red Bull Ring. I would say by far best of the season. I would even say better than Le Mans last week. Blake Gambrill is out of fuel.
Do you think he makes it back to the line?
It's all downhill.
He's downhill. It's all downhill. So he's got as good of a chance as anybody ever to make it half a lap around a racetrack out of gas.
Down to just, well, he's up to about 20 to 25 miles an hour right now. Speed is stagnating because he's on that downhill section. It's about to get real downhill here. Oh, but these turns, man, they are hurting him big time. Now he's trying to make it to the pit road to cut out as much racing room as possible. 14 miles an hour.
Well, he's doing some left rights here, trying to get this thing down the hill.
You see him trying to bump start it there a little bit as well. Trying to get another mile an hour or two. No, he's not going to make it. Tough break for Blake Gambrill. Take a rundown, though, through official post-race results this afternoon from the Red Bull Ring. Sure enough, it is not. How about that? Corey Barrett takes his first win.
What?
John Combs also got penalized after the line. Corey Barrett takes his first ever win with the beer league. 7-5 ahead of Austin Tucker with Alex Cofford in third. Romano was fourth. Bueller in fifth. Williams sixth. Clayton, Wolf, Ronberg, and Bradley for the top 10.
Wait, I think that might have been after the checkered flag.
Was it after the checker flag? If it's after the checker flag, then that would definitely explain it. But for now, yeah, Castro, Bright, Vasek, Hall, Lee, Blevins, Crothers, Campbell, Carlton, and Bai for the top 20. With McClendon, Beckman, Coles, Verhulst, Badol, Thacker, Catling, Kasich, Conde, and Purcell for the top 30. And closing out the field is Babcock, Hopkins, Hammonds, Vietnam, Dupuis, Clyde, Harrison, Gambrill, Smith, Flams, and Morton.
Ooh. I believe John Combs is still credited, is going to be credited as the race win. He was the last person in the session to get a black flag thrown by the.
Gotcha. We did see them crash after the line, so I'm willing to bet that would indeed be the case.
Yeah, I think John Combs is going to be safe on this one, take the win. Heartbreaker for Corey Barrett coming up so close, though. I mean, but still a great run for him. Best finish in the beer league, second place. What a run for Corey.
What a run indeed. And we're going to get the chance now to give a chit-chat here to one John Combs, who comes home. It is, of course, his second race win with the beer league. And, John, this one is a very awesome win for you indeed. 3-wide drag race, and it got aggressive between you, Kasich, and Barrett at the line.
So fun, man. So fun.
Kind of walk us through the final 15 minutes or so of this race, because this win, again, not one that came easy to you.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I punted my team captain, Chris Bright, early in the race, and I just felt like I had to do him proud, you know? So the second half, we lucked out with the pit. I've been caught out on that caution flying on your last lap of fuel too many times, and I was like, I'm not chancing it. And we got lucky with the throw, so that put us into the front of the pack on the restart, and kind of just held it from there. Had some good buddied up, you know, with Austin and stuff, pushing to get towards the front, trying to catch the pack. And we were like, yeah, we'll just kind of keep it to the last few laps and go crazy, and we did. It was a good time.
Championship-wise, it's been a very solid race for you so far. You were sitting 8th place of the points coming into tonight. Are you reckoning you'll be going for a top 5 before the season is out?
I sure hope so. Definitely a goal of mine. I'm going to give everything I got next time, too.
So we don't know yet where we're going to be racing next week, but what's the preparation going to be then with only 2 races left on the docket?
Drink. Get some practice beers in.
Well, sounds like a solid plan for me. Congratulations on taking win number 2, and we will, we'll see you next week, wherever we may be.
Awesome, thanks.
John Combs takes win number 2 of his beer league career from Denver, Colorado. We'll move on down to, remember Jake Kasich got penalized because of, his slowdown penalty. They could not serve in time. So Corey Barrett, a career best finish with second. He is standing by with Austin Edstrom.
Corey, what a finish for you. It just all seemed to work out at the end with everybody fighting towards the front, you picking your way back through the field after falling back to 5th. Man, just walk me through what was going through your head those last couple laps. Did you think that you had a chance there coming into the last corner?
Honestly, no. That was an intense last 10 minutes of the race. Like, I didn't believe I could actually keep up. Like, I felt like it was a fluke, but I stayed in the draft and I made it work.
Well, Corey, that was your best finish ever in your beer league career, and it came at a place where or a race where in the middle of it, it just kind of got thrown on its head with that caution, threw a lot of people at the back, and kind of opened the door for a lot of different strategies to play out, and it played right into your hand. Did you just kind of feel like everything just opened up for you at that midway point, and you're just kind of in there with a shot?
I was kind of hoping for a one stop, and it worked. I pit one lap before the caution came out, and it just worked out perfect. And a lot of people got stuck with having to take penalties from going into pits during the closed caution, but it worked. Everything worked, and I am over the moon.
Well, Corey, congratulations. And from the bottom of your little tagline here, it says, "I'm just here for the beer points." So off of that, I'm saying there's a possibility that you might have scored the most points in the race tonight, and I think that that's a pretty big feather in your cap.
Well, I don't know. There's quite a few heavy drinkers that would put my they would put me to shame. But I got 4 for the night so far, so I'll say that's pretty good.
Okay. Maybe you're still up there. You're still up there for sure.
Yeah.
But congratulations, Corey,
Thank
on
you.
your best finish in the beer league. Hopefully you can get that win number 1 here pretty soon.
It seems to be getting pretty close.
Hey, that's all you can ask for at this point. Just one spot better. That's all we're hoping.
Thanks.
Alrighty, that was your second place finisher here tonight, Corey Barrett. Next up, Nolan is going to be talking to third place finisher Austin Tucker.
Austin Tucker able to come home with a solid third place run this afternoon. And Austin, like so many other drivers, you were able to find yourself staying right around where you qualify, which for you, thankfully, was at the head of this field. Caution came out at a very awkward point when it comes to drivers coming down to pit road to getting fuel. You were one of the few that took it early to luck out.
Yeah, I told my teammates that that's the strategy I was going for, pit at lap 15, and that with some fuel saving that would get me to the end if it stayed green. And this is exactly the kind of scenario I was trying to avoid. Because the way we do cautions, if you have a lap and a half or less of fuel or so left when the caution sequence starts, you're just kind of screwed out of your spot, and you have to take a end of line for pitting under closed pits. So fortunately that played out well for me. Hopefully my teammates followed my pit strategy. I haven't checked on that yet, but overall I think it was a good team night.
Kind of talk us through the last few laps of this race, because it was certainly aggressive with you and a lot of drivers, and even in the fight to try to catch up to Jake Casey, it was a bit of a struggle sometimes.
Yeah, I was doing good catching him with John kind of in tow, and then I had a couple bad corners over a couple laps, and I fell 8 or 9 tenths so back from Kasich, and that was after coming. I think I was almost around 1.7 back, so it was good just to be able to catch up because you only get the draft within about a second or so. But once after I made the mistakes, John and I worked together to get back up, and we were trying to work together to keep it so it would be just the 3 of us to fight to the end. But I think Jake had a bad turn one lap, and that just seemed like go time. I think there were maybe 4 laps to go, so it was a bit too early, and Bright and Corey caught up to us, but it was a fantastic race to the end.
Right now, championship-wise, things have been a bit shaken up, I think, with this race here this afternoon. For you, you've been, I think, kind of almost a bit, well, let's just say, you've been trying to really fight up there with Alex Crawford. I know you were in a fierce fight for second into tonight. With second place effectively a guarantee after this one, is first place up for grabs now?
It's going to be hard. Crawford still had a good night, so unless he has just a terrible next 2 weeks, it's going to be an uphill battle for sure. I showed I had pace that I can win tonight. This isn't the first time I've podiumed this season, so there's some hope to cover some ground, but it's hard. I mean, even with Crawford starting at the back, and I think he was caught on the wrong side of caution strategy, he was still right there in 5th or 6th or whatnot. So it's going to be tough to make up that ground. I think 30 points or so.
We wish you the best of luck regardless. Still not out of the fight. 2 races are left. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Austin Tucker takes home the top step this afternoon. And Austin, I think that's something that cannot be understated as well, right? I mean, Cofford fought his way from 40th on the grid up to about 7th before the pit stop window. After that, he got an end of the longest line penalty for pitting under closed pits. And even despite having less than 30 minutes of race left, he still fought his way into 5th by the checkered flag. That's
ridiculous.
That cannot be understated, ever.
That's ridiculous, Crawford. I don't understand. I thought there was no chance he would even have a sniff at the front of the field, and somehow he ends up in the top 5. That's a ridiculous recovery from Crawford. Great race from Corey Barrett. I mean, just what a finish to this one, man. I mean, the race was great all the way through. John Combs ends up with a heck of a drive pushing Tucker to the front of the field, and then passing both Tucker and Kasich and fending them off. I mean, you can't ask for much more than what we saw tonight.
You really cannot, and no doubt wherever we happen to be, it's going to be just as entertaining when we go racing a week from today as well. There is still a long, way to go with racing action here this afternoon, and of course throughout the course of the week as well. When we return to racing action on Green Flag TV, though, it'll be for doubleheader season openers on the weekend, with the SRA IEL Truck Series having their first preseason race. For Daytona International Speedway. That'll be at 7:55 p.m. Eastern Time on Saturday night. Then on Sunday night, it's a doubleheader race in of itself with the SRL Winter Series dual 30-minute features with street stocks and mini stocks. That'll be down at the Charlotte Motor Speedway with their 1.5-mile quad oval. Then, of course, the High Tide Racing League is back for more on Monday nights with the Michigan International Speedway race for round number 12 over in the beautiful state of Michigan at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Monday nights. For us here, though, for tonight, that's all we got time for one afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. My name's been Old Ramble alongside Austin Edstrom. If you want to find out more about who we are, what we can offer you, check us out today at www.greenflagtv.com. We'll see you all next week with the Beer League.